Hey, y'all, did y'all miss us? Because we sure missed you. Look, watch, like, and subscribe to our channel at Sister Sis 1988, as well as follow us on all of our social media platforms at Sister Sis 1988. Boy, do we have a show for you today. Today, we have joining us some beautiful, beautiful ladies. I'll get to introducing them here in a minute, but first, I'm Jamie.
I'm Latoya.
And I'm Calandra.
And we are bringing some beautiful ladies here today from a whole nother beautiful state. I think they call it the tri-state. Am I right? Are y'all the tri-state or no?
The DMV. The DMV.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to allow you guys to do a small introduction, and then we're going to drop to these questions. Go ahead, Miss Darden. Go ahead.
Oh, hello. I'm Lauren King Darden. And with my best friend Adrian, we have a podcast called Two Mics, Two Glasses, where two best friends discuss business ownership and life.
Okay, Miss White.
Welcome.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, what she said.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So we go get started. So how did the idea of working together and starting a podcast come about?
Yeah, so I'm trying to remember how long ago it was. It was maybe it's been a year and a half or 2 years now at this point, because we started the podcast about a year ago, or we started recording about a year ago. So about a year and a half ago, Lauren came to me and was like, hey, I think, I want to start a podcast, or I want us to start like a podcast together. I think you said God came to you and said, we want to start a podcast together. And it was crazy that she had said that, because maybe a few months prior, I had like a dream and I had God speak to me saying that me and Lauren were supposed to do a podcast. But as an entrepreneur, I'm super busy all the time. And so I was like, how is this supposed to happen? Oh God, like it just seemed like a lot of work, and I just wasn't really sure how we were going to go about it and stuff. But then when she contacted me, it was confirmation that we were supposed to do it. So once she said that, we started getting in the works. Making things happen.
And I remember after that conversation, I had this like outpour of ideas. I was up till wee hours of the morning just writing stuff down, just like kind of flowed out of me, like kind of effortlessly. So I was like, maybe there's something to this. Like, let's try it. Let's see what happens.
I think that's funny because Lauren, you seem a little bit quieter than Adrian. And I think out of us three, I think I probably am the quietest one, but I was the one that also came up with like our platform, Sister Sis, and I pitched it to them. So it's like, I think the quietest one is the one that's always quiet and thinking of ideas. What do you think, Lauren?
I don't know if I'm the more quiet. I think I'm more introverted than Adrian.
But... Yeah, I'm definitely that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Lauren's the type that like once you start talking to her, the conversation doesn't stop. She has a lot to say.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I'm chatty, but I be working from home, so that's what it is.
So working from home and thinking.
What has been the biggest challenge with starting a podcast?
I would say money. We don't have a ton to invest in certain things, so we have to DIY things, or we have to barter with other entrepreneurs to get what we need. And then the other thing is just being very consistent with like posting and engagement. I think those might be like the two challenges that we face the most.
I would say also that, I would say also editing the episodes. So like, because we have like a certain amount that we are investing in the business and the pod every month, but it's not, every week, but it's not like a huge amount or anything. And so the editing has been challenging. We were trying to do it ourselves at first, and it took a long time. The output was fine, but it took a long time, and it was a lot to keep up with our busy schedules in general. So I feel like the editing is always the part that delays the episodes. Like we can record, we have a lot to say. So recording, we on it, but we got all these recordings. They're like, oh my God, they have to edit it. What do we do? And then we've tried to use some outside editors, and it just hasn't worked out in the way that we had hoped.
So how did you guys end up working that? I'm just curious, like even for our knowledge, how did you guys work out the editing?
Well,
That's a challenge. We know.
Yeah.
Yes. So we still are working it out, but we did. So initially I was editing them. And then I already have a virtual assistant who's in the Philippines through my
Okay.
business. So she was editing it, but I still had to do, a overlook and make more
Yeah.
edits after that.
Mhm.
And then we created a barter with a editor that we have a relationship with, like a professional editor
Okay.
in Michigan. So he was doing it for a while, but then the barter fell apart. And so then he withdrew doing it. And so now we're back to my Philippines virtual assistant. So it's helpful because she's gotten better with editing over time, but it's still challenging because she's not at the point where she just needs a little bit more practice to get to the point where we would feel comfortable just releasing, what she edited without looking at the whole thing first.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Mm.
That
And
editing
if
is a
anybody,
challenge.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's understandable.
Yeah.
It is.
We
What are y'all doing to edit?
basically the same thing you guys are doing, using people, trying to trust people to do it. Basically the same thing you guys are doing. Finding
Because it is very time consuming to
it's
do it yourself.
well,
Yeah.
we've never tried to do it ourselves.
Yeah.
Never.
No.
No.
We were thinking about that,
Yeah.
but then we were like,
Yeah,
oh,
we
this is
did.
a lot of work. We don't
Yeah,
know if
a
we can
lot of
do
work.
this. Yeah. So we were using someone independently that we knew already as well that was into videography and photography or whatever, but then that didn't quite work out. And then so we went over, just to be honest, to Fiverr, and then we kind of vetted out a couple different people, and then we ended up with someone that we have been with for a while, actually. Yeah. So and he's
Nice.
worked out for now. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that person is from Fiverr?
Yes, he
Yep.
is.
Yes.
Okay,
Right.
that's
And
great.
he served us well. Yeah. So
yeah.
Yep, do like
But if
the
anyone,
thumbnails and all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
oh, like the pictures and graphics and everything.
yes.
Yes.
He does all of that.
Nice.
Yeah, so that has worked out well. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if
So
anyone
what
in your audience needs an accountant or a web designer, we will barter our skills for yours. Like, hit us up in the chat.
Okay.
We
I
got
need to call you for the accountant then.
right.
Listen, I
All
got
right.
you. Call sister up.
So how has it been with working with one another? Has you guys run into any problems or any challenges with working together?
Not yet. This is the thing. When we started, I was like, that was one of the biggest fears. It's like, I don't know if I want to start something with my closest friend. Like, I've seen podcasts go left
Mhm.
on air where they fall out over some money or disagreement or
I.e.
contract.
Joe
So,
Budden.
yes, Joe, but
That's the right thing. That and okay, let me hush. Mm-mm.
Yeah, let Miss Lauren finish.
it was on air. It was so messy. And I was just like, I don't want this to happen with my friends. Like, I need her in my life right now. Okay. This is my lifeline. So we decided to really go into this eyes open and create what is it called? An agreement and like operating
Operating
agreement.
agreement.
The ways that we wanted things to go, how we were gonna split money, even if there's no money now.
Tell us about it.
Lord,
Preach.
bring blessings. We ask for increase, Jesus, but we
Hallelujah.
put in writing like how we want to split things. Once the money does start coming, what it looks like if she was to do something by herself or I did something by myself, like trying to spell out different situations that could happen in scenarios because we do have different aspirations. Adrian wants to be a speaker and I don't. So, if she goes by herself, I wouldn't be entitled to that. It's just like kind of really spelling stuff out in specific situations so that when you get there, there's no questioning. We don't have to argue. It's just already signed and written because we don't need to, that can be something that can really put a wrench in between friends when it comes down to
Mhm.
money.
Yeah,
I would
Lauren
love
was really good about the legality of like everything we were doing when we were forming this. Because once we said we wanted to do a podcast, it was like, okay, well, how do we manage if we make money from this? And it's like, well, this should be a business entity. So she was just really good about figuring out how we do the business entity, how we do the partnership, how the podcast plays into that, what happens, like she said, if one of us gets an individual opportunity that maybe is because they saw us on the podcast, but it's just one of us that's doing it. Like, is that two mics, two glasses money, or is it your money, my money?
Right.
Like, who's winning? So she was very good about that. For me, I wasn't as nervous as Lauren was about going into business with friends. I had done it previously with some other friends, close friends from college. And we did the same thing where we had like, we made a business arrangement and we did it. And that one fell apart, sort of. Like it definitely was it was a partnership of four. So it was a lot going on. Now, I'm sure y'all know because y'all got three. But it was a lot going on there. And we ended up dissolving that business, but it didn't really impact the friendship. So I felt confident we would be okay.
Okay. Yes, it is three of us.
But honestly, but you say it's three of us, but still, I think we always already know it's understood. That's the way that we see that, But I think me and Lauren probably relate a lot because I'm an introvert and I think a lot, like because honestly, it was scary. I did think about that when I even pitched that to them. But to me, I feel like it was really God speaking to me, and He was like, "Okay, my thing is you try to be obedient, and are we always obedient? No, we're not." But I was like, I heard Him calling us to do this, So then I pitched it to them, and I just kind of bypass my fears, and then we moved past. We were able to move past that though. But yeah.
And for me, I'm saying if we can if you can keep a friendship this long, then it shouldn't be really anything that can come in between it. When I say arguing, it's been subjects and things within the podcast that we may not agree on, but what you are supposed to do, even as adults, is you're supposed to talk things out. And then life situations, when you are going through situations like you're saying that, this is my lifeline and things like that, the same way that you speak about things just in your personal life, you ought to be able to do that about the business. You know what? That's why we always ask our guests, is it something that you do not want to talk about on the podcast? Like, you ought to be able to do that amongst the people that you are in business with. Like, it's something that you don't want to do, because I think if you're trying to do something and that other person is not really comfortable in doing that, then it shouldn't be forced. What if that's arguing about, okay, you're going to do something that all of us should be included in, like, okay, this is your money or this is the podcast money, like the example you just gave. Like, I think those are things that as adults and as friends, you all are supposed to be friends, that shouldn't be a problem. And this is our year 4, I believe. This is year 4 for us.
It's year 4.
Yeah, year 4.
Wow.
It's year 4.
Well, we're starting.
I done lost count.
Well, this is like the beginning of year. Yeah.
Beginning of year 4. So I commend you guys, keep going, keep that aspect, intact and keep it in check. And it's just like this here, just how I feel about the friendship is how I feel about whatever business that we do within the podcast. I'm just not going to come in and just mess that up. That's just the mindset that I've had.
And I always say to agree to disagree. I think that's how we get along the best, to be honest. We agree to disagree. It's like none of us try to change the other person's mind. And it's 3 of us. It's only 2 of y'all. When you add, and the more people you add, the more difficult it gets, So I think people, when they say it's 3 of y'all, all of y'all together, like, yeah, and y'all been rolling that long? Yeah, we have. But we agree to disagree. Yeah. And we let each other be who they are.
We're alike in a lot of ways, but we are definitely different.
All 3 of us are very different.
Very different.
I guess the 3 is actually good, because if you guys have to take a vote, that the vote will be
a tiebreaker.
That is true. When you got 2 people, it's 50-50. That's true. That is true.
But we do try to be extremely transparent with like where we are with things. Like, if we need to get certain stuff done, like, okay, let me be clear about what's going on with me or with my business or my family. I cannot take this on, and we try to kind of fill in for each other. So y'all know it takes a lot of work behind the scenes to get stuff like this up and running and looking good and all of that. And sometimes I'm like, oh no, it's too much falling on Adrian, or I don't want us to get to the point where one of us is burned out. So we try to be very transparent with each other about how we're feeling and, what we have going on our plates. So it's been working thus far. So
yeah. I think we also give a lot of grace too, because like I remember we had like a little kind of like a minor conflict like in our friendship and our relationship. And it was a day that we were supposed to record, and I was feeling kind of guilty, and it was just like a weird feeling going into the recording. So like for that particular situation, like in that situation, I was in the wrong. So like I made sure I apologized before we went into that recording and made sure that we were in a better space or a good space,
Right.
because it shows like in the recording. And then we've had another situation where I was going through like a whole bunch of personal stuff, and it was going to be really hard. I think I showed up to record, but it was going to be really
It was right
hard for me to
before I
have a
found
smile
out
on
I
my
was
face.
pregnant.
Yeah, it was the day before she found out she was pregnant. And so we
Oh.
And we
decided
had
not to
drank like
record
2
that
bottles
day,
of
even though
wine.
that was our
Uh-oh.
day to record. Yeah, we kicked back at her house, went on the balcony, drank lots of wine or whatever. But it was like we were understanding. It's not just like, oh, business, show up.
Yes,
Right.
correct.
Or
Yes.
whatever. Yeah.
Right.
Like we'll figure out the episodes, we'll figure out how to record later. Like we're gonna miss this week. We might not. I think our schedule is like every other Monday. So if we miss one, like we'll figure it out. It ain't that big of a deal, because I think like our personal lives and like being able to show up authentically as happy people is more important than like adhering to some sort of schedule.
Schedule. Yeah, I agree with that one. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, yeah. So my question is going to be, what do you think makes your partnership so successful compared to other work relationships?
Like our other work relationships we've like witnessed, or other people we deal with.
Like, I think both of you guys, you have businesses, right? So compared to the work you guys do together and then what you do for yourself and your other businesses, or even jobs that you may have had in the past.
I can go.
Okay.
So I will say that I feel like our success so far of the podcast, and ideally future success, is really on just our friendship in general. Like if people are buying into us and to our channel, they're buying into our friendship and
Okay.
how we joke around. And it's really like when we're talking, like for the most part, I would say it's like 95% of how we just talk in regular life, like the conversations that we're having and how we go back and forth. So I think that natural like connection that we have and friendship that we've built all of these years shows through obviously in the channel. And I think that has really helped allow the channel to grow, because like people, even just from early episodes, they were watching and they were like, y'all were hilarious. Like oh my God, I had all these memories. And if they went to Hampton with us, they're like, oh, I remember that y'all were talking about that. So I think that's different than any other work relationship I have, because there's nothing where I'm super close friends to them, and that's like a natural thing.
Okay.
That's true.
Okay. So this another question you already answered, because you guys were talking about just, talking things out, apologizing and things. So my next question would be, how do you guys handle like the negativity towards, your decision as far as going on and starting the podcast? Or have you had any negativity towards the decision of doing the podcast?
Not doing the podcast, but definitely feedback on some of the content of the podcast. So I'll let Lori take it from there.
Okay.
More recent
Very recent.
episodes.
What
We're
happened?
getting like more controversial.
Adrian said, let me take a drink.
Oh, that's like, what is that about?
I know we were just talking about it yesterday, and Lauren was responding to comments yesterday, so that's why she would be better.
What happened and what was the situation? What?
Well, we were giving our opinions on like the current economic blackout, the boycott, and some of our faves didn't have the hottest takes, in my opinion. I was quite opinionated about, so there were 2 entrepreneurs we explored. We took a look at Tabitha Brown's response, and then we took a look at Melissa, is it Butler, Adrian? Melissa Butler?
From the Lip Bar.
From the Lip Bar, who we support. But like, they had similar takes, but different, because Melissa at the end was like, well, I have a business outside of Target. Like, you can buy from my website. It is what it is. And Tabitha may not have that same option. I think she is kind of tied to Walmart and Target, where she sells certain things exclusively at those stores. So her take was kind of like, there's a lot of entrepreneurs there. We need you to still come and support us. And, our take on that was, I don't know if that's a good look, ma'am, because that's still supporting Target. Like, that's not, I don't know if that's going to have an
Oh,
impact. I don't
oh.
know if that's a good look. So I was like, Tab, what's going on? And people
Uh-oh.
did not, people have,
Oh,
fans will tell you, they'll start calling you stupid, or
They
no,
say
they were
we have the
calling us
Jezebel
Jezebels.
spirit
The
going against
Jezebels.
Tabitha Brown.
okay.
And
Okay.
the thing is, we don't mind when people disagree. I feel like disagreement is great engagement, and we want to
Right.
understand all sides. And then we really did explore all sides of her situation, where she does have to think about the people she's employing. She has to think about what that cost is, or even the contracts that she might have with these
Right.
huge
True.
corporations. They have a lot of power.
Mhm.
So we did explore that in the episode, but from the short, people were kind of giving us some pushback and feedback. And I think the way we have to look at it as is it's fine to disagree, but like come with some intellectual backing to help us understand your perspective. Because I think
Fred.
we're trying to figure out an answer. You know what I mean? Like we don't all know the answer. We don't know what's actually going to work, because we haven't really been in this type of situation where we're being attacked as a people, as a culture, in this way, where
Okay.
they're saying, we do not care about you or your families working here. We are not prioritizing, you know, the Black and brown people of this world anymore, because it's just being attacked in such a public way. Um, and we need to really organize and figure out what's going to have the most impact, whether that's boycotting Target or boycotting something else or doing something. It's really going to take our dollars, but also our organization and our collectivism to come up with a solution that's actually going to work to get us to where we need to go. So if you have something and you disagree, or Tab's your favorite, I understand. But,
And we
come
like
at us.
Tab. Like, we weren't trying to
Yeah, we
come
like her. I
against
don't have no issues
Tab,
with
but we
that.
were being honest.
But this is the thing. This is the thing. You're not gonna always make everybody happy. That's
true.
the yeah. Especially with a
But
podcast. Everybody's not gonna always be happy about what you're talking about. But we are all entitled to an opinion, and we all have a right to state our opinion. Now, I know what you're deeply talking about. I do remember Tabitha I don't know about this other lady, Melissa, but I do specifically remember Tabitha getting online and doing a video asking people not to boycott, and asking people not to do this, and asking people not to do that. I didn't in tune to it too much, because I'm just like, okay, she's not seeing what we seeing about what's going on with those companies. But that's all I was saying. And then I thought about it deeper as an adult. I'm like, okay, she has a company. She has people that are depending on her. Because when you own a company and you have payroll, you need to provide that payroll for the people that work for you. And if you don't provide that payroll, what are people going to do? They're going to leave, and they're going to find them another job. I went into further in depth in my mind and was like, okay, well, dang, she is going to do that. But I don't think I would have got online and I would I would
have been like,
yeah,
yeah,
that's literally exactly what we said in our
yeah,
episode. Like, we understand as
because
entrepreneurs, we
then
understand.
when you get blessed the way she has been blessed, you have to think about, okay, there are a lot of Black women that love you and that follow you and are proud of you, and they are going to take this video not the right way, not what you may be meaning to say this one way, but it's going to be taken another. Like you're supporting these actions that are being done by the government. I would have just addressed the company, the people that work for me. That's what I would have did. So wow.
Or maybe like she could have just, I don't know if people were asking her, or maybe like she felt pressured to respond or say something. I don't know what happened prior to that to make her feel compelled.
Asked her to do that.
Target made, and that's what we said too. We were like,
literally,
so how much of this is your opinion?
Exactly what we said.
And how much of this is Target's opinion? Because she's kind of sold her personality in this way. Not to say that she's like selling herself or anything, but like her personality is what draws you in. Her personality. So she's coming on and using her personality and her bubbliness, all the things we love about her, to tell people like, you can still come into Target and get my stuff. And I was like, that's not a good take. I don't know if that's a great take, Tab, but we still love you. But you have to call this out. And we were just really kind of honest and transparent. And Tabitha haters were commenting on stuff. And Adrian told me this, I'm blaming Adrian because she said we have to respond for engagement. We're at this point in our podcast where we need to engage. The engagement helps the algorithm.
I'm so
I was
proud of
like,
y'all.
man, she right.
I'm so proud of y'all. Because I'm telling you, my two friends that's on, I'm gonna say it in front of them. My two friends,
She already know that you just said what
They
you said.
would've got
Adrian was the one to see me and Lauren see eye to eye. I'm not gonna buy into the foolishness. It is what it is. People think what they
I'm
want.
a marketer. My background is in
Adrian is a marketer.
marketing.
Adrian is you, Jamie. So then I'm like Lauren. I've said what I said, and it just is what it is. And then I'm like, okay, we just see. I see how Lauren looks.
Right. And then you came on there talking like illogical nonsense. So if you were talking intellectually, where I could be like, oh, I respect that.
Then we can
Let's
converse.
respond.
Yeah.
They were coming on there calling
We are
us
following
Jezebel.
your channel.
Right. Yeah, like I'm not
Jezebel.
even gonna entertain that. Like for what? But yeah. But I do. Everybody is
Oh,
different.
y'all thought crazy.
Yeah,
Everybody's
everybody's
different.
Yeah, everybody.
So, you know, that's like a little bit of what we have experienced more recently. So it's like very new and fresh. And we got something else where I was like, all right, I gotta respond to this. Because I really have to like take a second and not be petty.
Yeah,
No,
right. Of
And
course.
be professional.
because you like you have a business to run. She has a business to run. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
You don't ever want to be looking. You don't ever want to look like a sellout. You don't want to look
Or
like
hate. Like we're not haters. We're not hating on Tab. We want her to succeed. At the same time, I'm here for the liberation of Black people. That's so much more important. There's been so much sacrifice for us to be where we are in the first place. How dare us not take this seriously? And I'm not coming for her, not saying that she doesn't take it serious, like Tabitha in particular, but us together. You know, this isn't a game. This is not a game. Get out of here.
Right.
Yeah.
ooh, honey. I wish I would have known and seen that. I would have sent y'all a little, hey, it's Jamie.
Just check out our shorts on YouTube. You'll probably
Yeah, we didn't see that one.
Yeah.
Have to check that one out.
It's very recent. Very recent.
Okay. So people were
yeah.
coming for y'all because they were coming for y'all because of what y'all were saying about Tabitha specifically, though.
Yes.
Yeah, that was what it was. But they had just looked at the short. They didn't look at the full episode because I feel like we were very positive in the episode and we were given multiple points of view, even about the same thing. Like we were like, yeah, it does feel like Tabitha is like dividing people who, you know, we're trying to come together as a people and boycott Target or boycott big business and stuff. And Tabitha saying that is dividing us from the boycott, which is exactly what we don't want to do, to organize in an effective manner. But at the same time, we understand her predicament. Like she's a business owner. She is employing people. She retired her husband. She did all of these different things, and it's gonna negatively impact her financially, which we can understand. We all are entrepreneurs trying to make this money, you know, but what other options were there?
Okay, well, on this note, we're gonna stop it right there. Okay, and come back. So
Until next time.
there is strength in sisterhood.
And supporting sisterhood.
Bye.
Bye.